Hi friends, this is Angelica. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be working with a new bundle from scrapbook.com. This is the Gingerbread bundle. I recently took a trip down to Arizona to see scrapbook.com's headquarters, and they graciously gave me some product to take home, and this was one of the bundle sets that when I saw it, I was immediately in love. So I was so excited when they let me take one home, and I've been playing with it, and now I get to share with you what I made. We're going to look first at the bundle. So we're going to start with the Sweet Christmas stamp set. This stamp set has several sentiments in it and then a few cookie stamps. And then the die set, this is a pretty large die set. It's 20 pieces. There are some pretty intricate pieces too. So just beware that there are some tiny dies in that set. And then there is this lovely paper pad. Now, my cover is already off the pad because my daughter loved this pad so much. As soon as she saw it, she ran off with it and lost the cover along the way. But look at how adorable these papers are. And I do use a lot of it throughout this video. So we're going to first start with die cutting. Now the cardstock I'm using for the gingerbread, this is honey cardstock from Tailored Expressions. And then I just pulled some white paper and red paper scraps to die cut the snowman and the little caps and scarves and bows for the cookies. And now I'm going to assemble the pieces. I already have the gingerbread girl assembled and the die cut word happy holidays. I already put those together off screen, and now I am going to do the other three on screen, and I'm using glue with a needlepoint tip. I found that this is going to be your best friend because these pieces are so tiny. Unless you put adhesive on the back of your paper before you die cut, that's another option too. I know scrapbook.com has a lot of different sizes of their double-sided adhesive. I also really like Stick It adhesive from Ken Oliver. That one doesn't have a lot of tack to it. But I'm going to use glue, and I'm using it very sparingly, and I'm holding these really tiny pieces with my reverse tweezers. I'm also working on a silicone mat to kind of keep that paper or the cardstock in place. The silicone mat does do a nice grip on the paper, so it's not moving around all over while I'm trying to attach all these little frosting pieces. And if I do put too much glue on the back of my die cuts, like I just did, I'll dab it on my mat first. So the mat will grab a lot of the glue, and then I'll take it over to the gingerbread. And that just saves a big mess. Instead of the glue like oozing out from under the die cut, I got rid of that excess glue on the mat. You're going to see my head pop in and out of screen here. I just needed to get really close to the cookies to make sure I'm putting these tiny pieces correctly on the cookies. And I did add the glue first. I just thought that was going to be easier. Add the glue first and then add the tiny pieces on top of the glue. And I'm using my wax pen to pick up those small pieces also. A wax pen is used a lot in my craft room. There are several different kinds of pens you can get that's on the market. If you're interested, I'll link a couple of them down below so you can take a look at them. So I'm almost done with the snowman, and then I'm going to move on to the tree. Now this the frosting for the tree is one die, but it cuts out the tree frosting liner, which is what I'm gluing right now. And there was just no way to put the slightest light of glue on that. So I dabbed it pretty good on my mat. You see how much glue the mat took off of that tree, but it stayed just fine on the cookie, and the glue made no mess on the honey cardstock. So if you did not know that tip, now you do. I do it all the time. If I don't have a mat, I use printer paper. I'll just grab scratch paper and have that to the side so I can dab my extra glue onto. Now the die cuts are all done. We're going to move on to making some cards, and I'm going to start with the paper pad. I'm going to make a really simple card. I picked the Happy Holidays die cuts to use, and I found a really fun pattern paper for the background. and that's a lot of pattern on the card. So I am going to trim the panel down a little bit, and then I'm going to back it with red cardstock, just so it has the slightest edge of red to break up the pattern and the white card base. I added double-sided adhesive to all sides of the pattern paper, and then one long strip of adhesive to the middle of the panel. And I put glue on that adhesive strips before I put it on the red cardstock, because I needed to make sure that I had a little bit of wiggle room, because the cardstock and the pattern paper are just so similar in size. So I wanted to make sure it was even on all sides before I committed or exposed all of the adhesive. Once the glue was dry, I did pull the backs off of the adhesive so the pattern paper would sit on the red cardstock. And I'm going to do the same thing with the foam adhesive, and I'll do that on screen. So I am using, I bought a whole bunch of these rolls by accident, so I'm just going to use as much as I can since I have 3 of them in my drawer. But I lined the panel with the foam adhesive. I did expose, again, just the middle adhesive. And I added glue because I wanted to make sure, again, that I put it center on the card base. I'm going to let it set for just a second while that glue bonds to the card base, and then I'm going to use my reverse tweezers. I pull the card base back just a little bit, get my reverse tweezers in there so I can pull the backing off off of the foam adhesive, and then I will pull the papers completely off once I'm done. And now it is completely bonded to the card base, and all I have to do is add the die cut words, and I'm going to add them with thin foam squares. And I'll also be using my 0 center ruler just to make sure I have it centered correctly, I have the top word centered correctly, and then I'll just add the second word just by sight, and that's going to finish this first card. I think it turned out adorable. I love this paper so much. That print is so cute. So now that we have our first card done, let's move on to the second card. And I'm going to start off with patterned paper, and I'm going to die cut a window in it. So I have a circle die here. You use whatever circle dies are in your collection. I am using the 0 center ruler again just to make sure I have that circle centered. And this paper, by the way, is A2 size paper, so it is the same size as your card base if you're making A2 size cards. I am going to be doing some stamping now, so I pulled out my MISTI, and I have a card base that I put in the MISTI. Now I have a waffle flower grip mat in my MISTI, so it's going to hold on to that card base just fine, but I did put down a little bit of mint tape on top of the card base just so it'll stay closed. I put the circle on top of the card base, and now I'm going to center the sentiment from the stamp set that I picked out, and just to make sure that I don't stamp it too low, I'm going to put the gingerbread people on the card also, because I do want them peeking out of the hole, so I just needed to do that to make sure I had the stamp positioned correctly before I stamp it. I used my favorite black ink in my collection. This is VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. I love this ink so much, I cannot give it enough praise. Once I had it stamped, and I only had to stamp it one time, I'm going to put some foam adhesive on the back of the pattern paper panel, and I did keep this the full A2 size. So I'm just gonna try my luck and put this right onto the card base. I'm not putting any glue on the adhesive strips or anything. I'm just gonna take my time, make sure I have the left side corners lined up, and now it's on the card base. So all I have to do now is tuck those gingerbread inside the window. I do have thin foam squares on them, and then I added a little bit of glue to the foam squares, just again so I have some time to move them around before they're completely committed to one spot. I thought about using the cookie stamps from Sweet Christmas to stamp on the card base, like in a light gray or a light tan, just to break up that white a little bit, but I'm glad I didn't. I think it looks great with the cookies and that really pretty Christmas sentiment. I wanted to use the circle pattern paper that I had just die cut. I didn't want that to go to waste, so I decided to use a smaller circle from the die set that I had used to die cut the window, and I'm going to die cut a smaller window in a white card panel, and I'm going to put that over the larger red circle, so that'll be a nice place for the snowman to sit. I picked a small sentiment from Sweet Christmas to stamp under the snowman on the white panel before I attached the panel to the card base with foam adhesive. Now, I will tell you a little secret. This is not the first time I have created cards like this before. I have used these layouts several times, especially doing like a two cards out of one, using the circle from the die cut window from the card I just made and using it on this card. What I'm saying is, if a layout works good for you and you really like it, continue to use it. Every card doesn't have to be a new idea. I have used these layouts for summer cards, for Easter cards, birthday cards. They just work, and I think that if you get too caught up in trying to make something new, it can get frustrating. And frustration does not belong in our crafting. So just keep that in mind next time you're sitting at your desk and you're not sure what you want to do. Think of a card that you have made that you really, really liked and recreate it. Just use a different theme. I'm going to finish this card with my 0 center ruler to help me make sure I get the snowman in the center of the circle. I did use thin foam squares, and that's going to finish this card. I've used this layout several times, and I love it just as much as I did the first time I tried it. Now we're done with cards, and we're going to move on to tags. I am using Sunny Studio Stamps Build a Tag number 1 die set to make my first set of tags. If you don't have a tag set in your collection, that is fine. I'm going to show you also in a couple minutes how to make tags just using the dies in this set. But I wanted to also make a bigger tag. Now, I have a lot of tag die sets in my collection. I had the opportunity to design for a lot of companies, and so I've been given a lot of product, and this tag set is actually one of my favorite tag sets to use. It's really fun. It really is a big hit with my 6-year-old daughter's friends. I have now 16 new little friends to make birthday cards and birthday tags for birthday presents. We're always going to parties now. The whole class is really, really close. And I have found myself using this tag set quite often. I love all the options that this tag set does give me, because I can make birthday tags for a boy or for a girl, a theme, just because there's so many parts for the tag. I can cut the top and the bottom and the center in different papers. I did do that with the Gingerbread paper pad here. I picked a couple papers from that pad. I did keep the colors pretty neutral because I'm going with one color theme for this whole video. But it gets really fun when you start making birthday tags. Now, I did back the pattern paper with white cardstock before finishing the tag. That's what I first did. And I did it for 2 reasons. I wanted the tags to be sturdy, and also this paper is double-sided, so I wanted there to be a solid side on the back so you can write who the gift is for, or just a little greeting. You have that option now. Once I had the tags put together, I used thin foam squares to add the snowman and the gingerbread man to the center of the tags. And again, absolutely adorable. These little cookies just melt my heart. Now we're going to make 2 tags using the dies from the bundle, and I pulled out my pink smooth cardstock paper pad, and I picked the lightest pink in this pad. I'm going to score it and then fold it in half, and I'm going to tape the snowman die and the gingerbread man die on the folded cardstock, but I want the tops of the dies to be barely over that folded line. I don't want the folded line cut. And the reason why I picked this paper is because it is 65 pound, and my cardstock that I have is between 80 to 100 pound cardstock, and once it's folded, that's going to put a lot of strain on my die cut machine, and I did not want to do that. So I thought this was going to be the best option. It worked out fantastic. Once I ran it through the die cut machine, I punched a hole through the top, threaded some red and white baker's twine, and then I added the cookies to the tags with thin foam squares. These tags are so adorable. They're so tiny and petite, but would look perfect on a little treat bag. I can't wait to make a few more. I do send goodies, little baked goods to work with my husband at this time of the year, so these will be perfect embellishment for those little packages. I am going to leave links down in the description to everything that I used in this video. They are affiliate links. I do get a small commission if you shop my links, which really helps out my channel, but that's at no cost to you. Also, if you are watching this Thanksgiving weekend, there is a big Black Friday sale going on at scrapbook.com. I'll leave a link to their coupon page so you can go and check out all of their freebies, their discounts, and grab some discount codes. That's all that I have for today. Be sure to subscribe before you leave so you don't miss out on any future videos. I'm going to be back shortly with another video, so I will see you then. Take care, friends.